In this video, we are going to look at some recommended databases for doing research for sociology and related fields. So on our library resources page here in Wired, we're going to start off by going, oddly enough, to our library catalog, because at the top of the library catalog, we have a link to our subject guides. The subject guides are basically an alphabetized list of different subject areas with recommended databases and websites that could be helpful for researching that particular topic. So before we scroll down to sociology, I want to make note of this part up here that talks about any database that is listed, as you can see, like this one, with asterisks around it. That means that it is coming from the Michigan eLibrary. And the only reason it's important to know that is because if you use one of the Michigan eLibrary databases off campus, it may ask you to log in instead of automatically logging you in as it will on campus. If it does ask you to log in, it will be looking for either a Michigan driver's license number or an account number for a Michigan public library. So if you are not a Michigan resident, you probably don't have those things. However, as a student at a public college in Michigan, you qualify for a library account with the Library of Michigan. This is a very quick and easy online form that you can fill out. They will give you an account number then that you can use, logins that you can use, so that you will be able to access all of these mail databases, regardless of where you are. So just something to keep in mind in case it ever becomes an issue. So now we're going to scroll down alphabetically to sociology. And we have subscription database suggestions here. And then we have an area for websites and open access databases. Some of these website recommendations here may be useful for you for the project that you're working on, such as the Pew Research Center. Very, very helpful for looking at some things related to generations. And then we also have a link to the Institute for Generational Research and Education. And we will be continually updating these suggestions. But if we look at the subscription databases, there are 3 suggested here. One is one of our ProQuest databases that the Fred Matthews Library subscribes to for you. And then we have 2 Michigan eLibrary databases. So if we just go to ProQuest Psychology and Sociology, this actually is not a database. This is a direct link we created to 3 databases that fall into that category of psychology and sociology. So if we want to change this up a little bit, we can. If you go to change databases, there is a very long list here. So rather than looking at this whole title list, one thing we can do is change where it says, instead of view by name, view by subject. So then we can go to the social sciences databases and just look at that list. So we're probably focusing more on the United States, so we won't mess with this one. Criminal justice, you might want to add. If you happen to be researching something related to that, you might want to add education if you're researching something related to that. So I'm going to add education database. I am not going to add this education one because it is an index. Note where it has a page here, that means that we have articles in these databases in full text. An index is not the full text of the article. It is just an index of articles that are out there. So it could be useful, but then you would have to track down the full text, which you could do through an interlibrary loan request. So that is a possibility, but we're not going to mess with that to start with here. So we're going to add that. And we could, maybe we decided, you know what, we don't really want psychology when we want to focus more on sociology. If you wanted to, you could unselect that. You could unselect social sciences and just search the sociology database. It just depends on what you want to do here, what your focus is. So we'll go for now with the 3 that originally are in this direct link, and then adding that one education database. So we're going to go down and say use selected databases. So now we're searching the 4. So let's say we just search for Generation Z. A good idea when you're searching a database is to put any multi-word term in quotation marks so that it will look for literally those words together in that order instead of looking for the individual words. And then maybe you get some things that are not exactly what you are intending. So you get your list of results. One thing that you want to do if you have been told you are required to use scholarly sources is to go over here and click to limit to scholarly journals. So now let's see, let's go to maybe this article. Who in the world is Generation Z? I'm just going to go ahead and open this up. And I just want to show you one thing that may also help you, and that is a citation tool. Pretty much any database will have one. Typically these days, they use the quotation marks as an icon for that. And in ProQuest, they do also say cite here for you, but not all databases do. So we're going to click cite. It defaults to MLA style, so you want to pay attention to that. I would assume for sociology, you will be required to use APA style. So you want to change that to APA. And then you can copy and paste this, but do keep in mind that you always want to double check any citation you get from absolutely any citation tool. None of them are 100% perfect 100% of the time. So do double check. The number one problem that I tend to see with citations is issues with capitalization in titles. So keep that in mind. You may need to correct, but it's still a good time and effort saver to pull together the information that you need. So now let's go back over to our subject guide, and we have these two other databases that we're recommending, both from the Michigan eLibrary. So we're going to click the first one, Academic Search Complete. With this one, instead of something that says change databases, what we're going to do is go to the name of the database, and that gives us the option to select a lot more. This database is from the EBSCO company, and the great majority, at this time anyway, at the time of recording, the great majority of the databases in the Michigan eLibrary are from EBSCO, which means that we can select a bunch of different EBSCO databases to search at once if we want. Those two that I recommended, so we've got Academic Search Complete, and then the other one was Psychology and Behavioral Sciences Collection, the closest match in these EBSCO databases to being sociology adjacent. So we can check that. Again, we could, if we were researching something related to education, we could choose education source as well. ERIC is also an education database. We could also select that. I'll just go ahead and leave the two we originally had here. And then I'm going to hit select. And then once again, we can do a search and Generation Z in quotation marks. Well, one thing you might want to consider doing to cover your bases a little bit more is to also include Gen Z as a search, because you don't know if it will be being used with the full word or shortened. So when you are going to search interchangeable terms like that, you want to add the word or in all caps so that it knows that you're using it as a Boolean operator. So Generation Z, or, and again in quotation marks, Gen Z. And you may get more results this way because you may get some that use it with the one variation and some with the other. So we're going to go ahead and hit search. And let's see, we'll go ahead and click into this article. And it's misbehaving. I have never seen this happen before today. I don't know why this is misbehaving right now, but it's a good opportunity to look at a way to solve that problem if you run into it again. And so what you would want to do is click the title here. And instead of access now, we're going to click download. So now we've downloaded the article. We have the article. Okay, cool. We don't know why it didn't open over there, but we have the article. We can go back and use the tools. So again, we're looking for a citation tool. Remember, I mentioned the quotation marks as the icon. And so if you hover over this, it does say cite, but it doesn't say it without it. You want to look for the quotation marks. Click that. And this one is actually defaulting to APA style, but always double check, make sure that it's saying the style that you need. And again, just double check those citations to make sure that everything is accurately following APA style.